So she got sick before I did, and once she started displaying symptoms, we both went into quarantine, and I actually initially tested negative, but at some point I guess I contracted it from her and later became infected. So for me personally, the only thing I experienced was a loss of taste for 2 days. So I'm, extremely grateful that, I wasn't one of the people who got some of the more severe symptoms. But I will say kind of like the scary thing is, if she hadn't tested positive, I kind of would have gone on with my life as normal and potentially infected other people. So that was kind of the main takeaway for me, was just kind of how scary that possibility was. And that I think that's potentially the case for a lot of people as well.
All right, next up is going to be Ed Encina.
Hey, Cam, how you doing?
Good.
I guess I was wondering, can you give us a little bit of a time frame on when some of this happened? And obviously you were out there with Tom and some of those workouts at Berkeley Prep, and just kind of, there's been some questions as to, how that all, the time frame kind of correlated there a little bit.
Yeah. So it was, I got sick a couple months ago. I don't know the date off the top of my head or anything, but like I kind of said before with the timeline with how things worked, as soon as Brooke, my fiance, started showing symptoms, we both kind of shut it down at that point and didn't really go outside the house. So, for me, I got infected after that. So luckily I wasn't, in close contact with anyone while I was contagious.
Okay, next up is going to be Rick Stroud.
Hey, Cam. How concerned are you when you guys start playing football that guys will get infected and that somebody might actually get pretty sick as a result of that? They might not have your immunity, for example.
Right. Yeah. I think, that possibility is definitely really scary. Not just for the players, but for the coaches and personnel in the building who, are around the players as well. Because not everyone involved who's going to be at the building is going to be young and healthy. There's going to be people who have some underlying risk involved. So it's going to be super important for everyone to do the best they can to try to avoid any interactions outside of the building. Really don't go out to eat. Obviously don't go out to the bars or anything like that, but that goes without saying. So I think a lot of it just kind of falls on the players and coaches doing the best job they can to kind of isolate themselves outside the building, just because everything they've done at the facility is pretty incredible, kind of the way they transformed it to try to eliminate the risk and exposure we're going to have to each other while we're there. So I think that's going to be the main thing for everyone, is just being smart when you're away from the building.
Along those lines, can you kind of take us to the physical changes of the building? Obviously, they must have expanded the locker room to another area as well. I mean, just what does that look like with the one-way arrows and things? How is it?
So I've only seen pictures and videos of it. So probably I've only seen just like you guys, because I actually haven't been able to go into the building yet. I know they have lockers set up in the indoor and showers, kind of outdoor showers as well. Just trying to really eliminate as much exposure, we have to each other while we're in the building. So really the only time we're going to be in close proximity to one another is going to be while we're actually playing football. So those interactions are obviously going to be inevitable. But I think the main thing is just eliminating exposure to each other when we're not actually on the playing field.
Okay, next up is Justin Granite.
What's up, Cam?
Hey.
Obviously, we don't know the long-term effects of this. We don't know if you can get it again. But is there some maybe peace of mind for you knowing that maybe you can't get it again this season and maybe you can't spread it to someone?
Yeah, for sure. Like you said, though, there's so many unknowns with the virus. Kind of talking with the team doctors, the research is showing maybe a couple months, few months, I'll have some level of immunity. So, I'm hopeful that's the case, but I feel like I don't really know anything about the virus. I'm just reading what's being put out there by the media and trying to figure out exactly the best way I can keep myself and those around me healthy. So I definitely don't feel like I got the S on my chest, where I can't get infected all year or anything like that. But yeah, hopefully a few months I'll be okay. We'll see though.
All right, next up is going to be Janoline.
Hey, Cam, so glad that you and Brooke are both okay and recovered and everything. And shout out to Archie for taking care of you guys.
Oh yeah.
It's so understandable that you guys had those group workouts, right? Enormous expectations on you guys going into this year, and certainly other teams were doing it around the league. Having been through that, did that kind of give you second thought about should we be doing this, or did you say anything to your teammates about that? How did that go for you?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely something we talked about. Definitely something we try to figure out the best way to go about doing it. I would probably say, like you said, we probably weren't the only quarterbacks and receivers doing that across the league, although I think we're the only ones that had a helicopter above us filming it. So that was interesting for sure. But yeah, I mean, we just tried to avoid the risk and exposure we had to each other as much as possible. We weren't huddling up or, we weren't hugging each other or anything like that. We were just having a little catch outside. So it's kind of a calculated risk, I would say, that we took in that regard, but we did the best we could to try to, maintain social distance and really not have too much close interactions with one another.
Okay, next up is Karen Loftus.
Hey, Cam. So I saw your PSA yesterday about donating plasma. Have you and Brooke donated plasma? If so, when and how many times?
Yeah, so the Bucs kind of reached out to us last week about that, and something I had absolutely no idea about. And that's part of the reason why I was excited to be given the opportunity to kind of throw that out there to let the people know about it. So, as soon as we found out from the Bucs, we kind of reached out to, I can't remember, One Blood. And so right now we're in the process of scheduling that for us. But we just thought it was a great opportunity to kind of spread that message. And it's something that Brooke and I are signed up to do. And, we're going to do it as many times as they allow, for sure.
Okay, next up is Andrew Cassee.
Hey, Cam, the NFL seems, adamant that they're going to play a season and whatnot, but at the same time, they're, all it takes is one guy to shut down a tight end room or a wide receiver room. That said, how confident are you that I won't ask you to speak for other teams, but how confident are you that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will get a full 16-game schedule in?
Yeah, I would say I'm cautiously optimistic about that. I wouldn't, I'm not going to guarantee anything like that or put a number on it. I feel like the NFL has put a lot of stuff in place for the players to protect us, with the testing protocols and the way they've reconstructed the building. There's so many unknowns with the virus, and obviously kind of paying attention to what's happened in baseball with the Marlins. There can be a case like that with an NFL team. And, I don't know if, an NFL team would be able to play a game if a third of the team tested positive leading up, the Thursday or Saturday before a game. I'm not sure if that would be possible. So I think a lot of the onus is going to fall on the players, like I said before, and the coaches to be responsible outside of the building and try to eliminate exposure to as many people as possible. But I'm optimistic and hopeful that we'll be able to play a full 16 games.
Okay, next up is Steve Isbitz from Joe Bucks Fan.
Cam, forgetting about the virus completely, how is your body football-wise, specifically compared to how it's been the last couple of seasons? And in total, how many Brady-led workouts were there this offseason?
I'm feeling great. not having an off season or anything like that, it kind of allowed me time to really focus on my body and get myself in, the best shape I possibly could. And, luckily I was able to kind of use a shed that one of my friends had down the street during coronavirus and everything was locked down. So I'm feeling really healthy, really strong, really excited for the start of the season. And as far as how many workouts with Brady, it's a great question. I don't know if I can narrow it down to a certain number or anything like that, but it was pretty extensive, and something we did a couple times a week over at Berkeley. And not having OTAs and missing out on those reps was definitely huge with the new quarterback, but we felt like we were able to get a lot of really good work in, so that we'll be ready to go here at the start of training camp.
So more than 10, you'd say?
I'm not sure.
Got
somewhere there, yeah.
Okay, next up is Josh Allen from Bucks Report.
Hey Cam, how you doing?
Good.
Great to have you on here. I'm going to switch a little over from the COVID talk. I just want to ask you, so you obviously, Tom Brady's here. He's got an affinity for throwing to tight ends and running backs. How do you expect yourself to change, your role to change in this offense going forward?
Yeah, it'll be really interesting for sure. I mean, we got a really strong tight end room, top to bottom. We have a lot of really good players in the room. And, obviously, people think of Tom Brady, he goes hand in hand with Gronk and the way he used him in New England. So, there's definitely some level of comfort for him throwing to tight ends, utilizing the middle of the field, obviously, to running backs and other quick game throws across the middle. So it's definitely going to be an opportunity to catch a lot of passes this year for us in the tight end room. And, it's hard to say exactly what all of our roles are going to be, having not practiced together. But, I'm super excited with, the chance to work with Tom and try to learn as much as I can from Gronk too.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next up we have Mark Cook.
What's up, Ron? Hey,
Hey.
hey, man. We talk about Tom Brady elevating the entire offense and the entire football team. Does Robin Gronkowski have that effect in your room? How is he going to elevate your play and even OJ Howard's play, or will he?
Yeah, I mean, I think he definitely will. Arguably one of the top tight ends in NFL history. Someone that I personally looked up to. When I was in college, being up there in New England, when he was playing there and really dominating. It's going to be awesome for OJ and I to kind of just run things through him and really just see the way he works and plays. He's huge. Like, people were talking about how he's gotten smaller, whatever, in the offseason. And then I met him. He's so much bigger than I am. Just like a massive dude. Really funny, just as advertised in that regard as well. And, we had a ton of fun working together in the spring. And, I'm just excited to see him actually play football against other people. We played New England on a Thursday night in 2017. And, I was pumped. It was good to see Gronk play. And he actually was inactive that game. So I've never got to see him play in person. So, I'm looking forward to that.
Didn't you tell me you had a Gronk jersey you found?
Oh yeah. I was cleaning out my closet literally in Chicago this summer, and it was in the back of my closet. And so I sent him a picture. I asked him if I should donate it to Goodwill or throw it away. So I donated to Goodwill. I figured someone would want it.
Okay, next up is Grace Remington.
Hey Cam, glad you're doing better.
Hey.
I was just wondering, so without the off-season program, where do you think you've worked out with Brady in the summer, but where do you think he is in learning the offense?
I can't speak for him, where he's at, what he did over the summer, but he was really on top of it in the spring. I mean, it's all the same game. Like, everyone runs essentially the same plays. It's just you have different verbiage for it. So just making those connections for him, kind of in his head, because he was in New England for 20 years or whatever. So he said it was definitely weird calling things, different terminology for him. But I think he's going to be up to speed in no time.
All right, we have time for a couple more. We're going to go to Ed and Cena.
Hey, Cam, just kind of going back to, like, I know you haven't been in the building, but you've been in the facility. Every time you walk in every year, you're used to it being the same way. How different do you think it's going to be, and how will maybe that affect the everyday kind of preparation that you guys have to go through? You guys get used to a routine so much during training camp and throughout the season. We've heard even about sensors that you guys are going to wear to like keep each other distant and stuff like that. I mean, how different do you expect this to be the next few weeks?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be different. The whole process, we have to fill out a survey before we enter, the trailer to even get tested every day. The test in the trailer. I was talking to the quarterbacks yesterday because they had their first day really working with the coaches, and they said it was definitely way different, wearing a mask at all times in the building. There's people checking in on the locker room to make sure people are wearing their masks. The lunch table, that's something that I love, catching up with the guys, group of 8 guys, talking during training camp. That's some of the best stuff to really learn your teammates. But, they removed 6 of those chairs so that there's 2 chairs per table. Just the small stuff like that. It's just going to be totally different. The only time we're really all going to be together is when we're actually practicing. So it is going to be weird in that regard, especially with, some big additions that we've made, trying to get everyone on the same page, feel like one cohesive unit. But, that's going to be a challenge for every team across the board. And, I think it's going to take a little bit of adjustment period, but we should be fine with it.
Okay, next up is Greg Allman.
Hey, Cam, the league has set up the opportunity for you guys if you chose to opt out for the season in terms of what you could do. And you've seen players all over the league that have already taken advantage of that. Obviously, you respect everybody's individual decision, but there haven't been any Bucs players that have opted out yet. And you talked about the calculated risk of those practices this summer. This season is basically a calculated risk. Why do you think there's such a high buy-in that players want to be involved and want to take that chance and play this year?
Yeah, I mean, there's really no difference between the summer workouts and now. There's no vaccine or anything. Everyone's pretty much dealing with the same, risk calculation that they have to make for them and their families. And, everyone's entitled to make their own decision, what's best for them and those closest with them. And so, I've seen people across the league, decide to opt out. And, sometimes, you'll read the comments and there'll be a lot of negative stuff about their decision. And that's super discouraging to see, because how can you fault someone for putting their health and their family's health first? So I totally respect and understand everyone making the decision either way. For me, I'm officially opting in. I'm going to play. It's a little easier having already had coronavirus.
Right.
So, but like you said, it's selfishly for our team, I hope no one opts out. The more of our guys we have, the better. But, if someone does make that decision, I totally respect it. And I stand with them in that decision for sure.
Okay, time for 2 more. We're going to go with Jenna Lane and then Rick Stroud.
Hey, Cam, back to the practices, since we're all a bunch of previous stuffers with helicopters and everything, did they continue practicing after your diagnosis, or did that kind of put things to a halt? And also, what does it mean to you, the fact that the league is taking all of this so seriously with all of these protocols as someone that had COVID-19?
Yeah, so I'll answer the second question first, but it's awesome. I think the NFL and the NFLPA did an awesome job working together, creating the safest environment that they could for us. There's going to be risk involved because you can't social distance playing football. You're tackling, you're blocking, you're sweating, spitting on each other, whatever. There's just a lot going on in the game of football. So I think outside of actually playing, the facility is probably one of the safest spots you can really be in. Kind of the way they reconfigured everything and the protocols they put in place. Guys should feel, as safe as they possibly could when they're in the building. And as far as those workouts, like I kind of said before, the way things worked out, I kind of was already in quarantine before, I had a positive test or anything. So I think the guys continued to work out, and luckily I wasn't putting anyone at risk, which was great.
Okay, our last question is going to come from Rick Stroud.
Cam, do you have a TB12? Like, do you have a Tom Brady moment? Do you call him the GOAT? Like, what are those workouts? We hear about his intensity. I mean, give us something that your interaction with him, or maybe your first interactions were like.
Yeah, I mean, someone that I've looked up to, and from my first memories of watching NFL football, Brady was in the league, and someone I just looked up to, the way he took care of himself, the way he prepared for the game, his passion for the game. So the first time we actually threw with him, I mean, yeah, I was definitely starstruck, a little bit, but as soon as we got to start, throwing and talking football, it was very natural. And he's just got a great demeanor about him, kind of the way he leads and the way he talks about the game. It's really easy to understand in that regard. The first time he texted me, though, I had to get double confirmation from other people that it was actually Brady. He said, "Hey, this is Tom. Give me a FaceTime when you can." So I had to reach out to Chris and Mike and be like, "Hey, is this Tom?" Like, because I didn't want to, be calling some random dude who's thinking it was Tom Brady or whatever. But he's just been awesome to work with, and still kind of got to pinch ourselves the fact that we have him at quarterback, and kind of everything that goes along with it. Everyone here is just super pumped.
Is there a? Go ahead. I was just going to say, is there a level of detail that he at all, like meticulous, or when you work out with him? Yeah, for sure. If it could seem like a perfect pass, a great ball, whatever. Just like everything seems spot on, but if he doesn't feel it's 100% crisp, exactly, where the ball should be placed, if you weren't efficient at the top of your route, whatever, you're going to run it again until you really perfect it. So he definitely is meticulous in the way he goes about his business, and he kind of has a way of circling everything back to football, whether, you're having a meal with them, talking about whatever, and he'll just bring it back to football. That's kind of the way he operates, it seems. Mm-hmm. Thanks, Cam.
Thanks, Cam. We did get some requests for Archie, so
I got him. Yeah, he was chewing a bone. He was being a good boy.
I got like 2 texts.
Who's that?
He's very popular.
Yeah, Mike Martin was super mad at me yesterday for bringing him to the facility. Yeah, he spoke to me afterwards too, because I let him out of the car when I promised him I would keep him in the car. So
getting in trouble on the first day.
Yeah.
Appreciate you taking the time.
Of course. Yeah. Thanks, guys.